Hi guys. Today our lesson is on quiet, something I am determined to master. For those of us who run so fast and always busy, it is time to stop and smell the roses. Well, I have a sweet spot that I love in my home, one of my sweet spots. And on this spot, I have to show you really fast because right above me is the picture that my friend painted, and it's called Never Lose the Wonder. Yeah, I like this spot because here is where I get to be quiet. Here is I get to recall the name of this painting, Never Lose the Wonder. Here's where I get to be still and know that He is God. As we study this quiet, I want to say this. We're studying joy and we're also studying quiet. Joy really is a high energy emotion, but watch this. Quiet is of the same emotion, but low energy. And we need both. We need the joy that's kind of yay, but we also need to balance it with the quiet. Why this lesson is so important is because God has actually wired us so that we can experience quiet and help calm our nervous system. For some of us, it's like, oh, we're running all the time. And there are very simple things that He has already designed within our bodies that will help quiet our nervous systems. I'm going to be sharing that with you in just a little bit. I love the image that I chose for this particular course because here is someone who just stopped to smell the roses. Just watching someone smell a rose, what's indicated there is that person had to stop. You don't do, yeah, and you keep going. It's like, no, if you're really going to smell a rose or smell a flower, it's like, oh, that is wonderful. And you let yourself experience that. When I saw this picture, the first time I saw it, it just stuck with me for about a week of like, oh, that's what God invites us into, to stop, be still, and know that I'm God. And I love this other verse that comes from Isaiah 30:15. In returning and rest, you shall be saved. Now watch this part. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. I find this, that if I will just spend time being quiet before the Lord and focusing on Him and being still and knowing that He's God, there is such a peace and a confidence that comes over me. And the strength, the places that I felt weak, it's like, it's not so weak anymore. And so what I'm determined is that I want to practice this often. You know me, I'm all about joy, 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 joy. But I have to have the balance of the quiet. So I have to be very intentional about building that into my life and building that into my routine. Today, we're just going to look at some very simple ways to quiet ourselves down. And of course, you see this everywhere. Even the public schools are doing this now, but they're learning about deep breathing and what it does for us. We're inhaling and holding for 4, and then exhaling for 4, then waiting 4, and then inhaling again for 4. Holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and waiting. One of the books that I was listening to on Audible, the gentleman was talking about the same technique, and he said this, that it is so imperative that when you breathe out, that you push it until your gut, you could feel it in your gut, so that you're pushing out all of yesterday's air. How about that? I like that. But it is such a calming effect for us when we just stop and take deep breaths, which, we're already wired for that. How many times have things been so overwhelming for you and you just took a big sigh? See, that's just the way He's designed us. So remember, everything that we're doing, we're working with how God designed our bodies and just getting the best we can for ourselves so that we can be our best self. One day I learned this technique, and the very next day a teacher was asking for help with her classroom. The kids were just out of control. And so I walked in there. I had them all sit down. I had them hold their little hands just like this. And I said, okay, we're going to pretend our hands are cups. And I'm going to pour some hot cocoa in your cups. It's not going to burn you because it's in the cup. And so once I pour the cocoa, I want you to hold it until everybody has theirs. And then we're going to smell the cocoa and blow the cocoa. And you could substitute with anything you want. But after we did this for a few times, the class was quiet. I handed the class back over to her. And one little boy said, well, don't we get to drink it? I said, oh yeah, let's drink the cocoa. And so it's a fun, easy way to calm your kids down. There is a YouTube that I will share on this channel as well that shows this little girl playing with her brothers, and she's getting a little anxious and it's not going her way. And mommy just called her name and she says, take a deep breath. And here's this 18-month-old. And mom says, do another one. And she did it a few times until she calmed down and she was ready to play with her siblings again. This is incredible, but guys, this is how God designed us. But what's so important for us is that being able to quiet ourselves is a great indicator of our mental health. If we're having problems doing that, which at first, as we start practicing this, things we're not accustomed to doing, it's going to take us a little while to add a little bit of time to this. But we want to begin practicing being quiet and just being still before the Lord and enjoying him and thinking on him, being still and knowing that he's God. And then the second myth that I want you to start practicing is just yawning. You turn to the left and yawn. Oh, and you turn to the right and yawn. And just doing that back and forth is incredibly calming for your body. But just like we know this, when we yawn, if there's anyone around us, their reaction usually is to yawn back. But here's a little tip that I'll tell for all my single people who are out there dating, is that on the first date, I need you to do a big yawn. If this person just stares back at you and doesn't respond, you need to get out of there, because it's a known fact that a psychopath, that part of the brain of a psychopath doesn't function like everyone else's. So they won't react to your yawn. So take a big yawn. If they don't react, say, oh, excuse me, I'm going to go to the restroom. And then you get yourself out of there really fast. Just thought I'd say that. But guys, quieting, joy and quiet, joy and quiet. We want this great balance in our lives so that we are truly living healthy lives. I love that he's placed it right there in the word, that in quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Be still and know that I am God. So let's start practicing that. Every day, spend quiet times. With your group, I want you to practice it with your group. So you're practicing quieting together. Practice it with your kids, with whoever's around you. Let's learn how to be quiet together. We don't all have to be talking all the time. I love it when I'm with a friend and we can just sit there and not say anything. Boy, that's strength. That's confidence in our relationship. So Lord bless you on this. We're doing joy and quiet. So be still, my friend, and know that he is God.